there has to be some common sense too. I don't think you're going to round up 11 million people and kick them out. I know that's wonderful to hear from candidates, but I think there's a reality thing here. But I think there's two things. We have terrorism now, and we have immigration. Somehow those now have been kind of put in a pot, right? Like a hot dish, we call it in North Dakota, and kind of melted together. I tend to agree with no. We need to put a moratorium on Muslim immigration or entry right now until we can figure out what on earth is going on and to protect our citizens. On the other hand, we need to totally secure the border and enforce the law. The law is there. It's just for many, many, many administrations, even Republican ones, we have not enforced the law. And we need to start not thinking about it politically, but thinking about it as a national security issue, and I think very few are doing that. So we are a border state. I talked to a Border Patrol guy the other day. He's retired now, and boy, let's start talking to the guys that are actually out there working. Let's actually talk to the guys who arrest people, and then 2 weeks later the same person comes through the border again because they were let loose. We aren't giving the right tools to our Border Patrol, to our military, to those who secure our borders, whether it's overseas or here, secure our prosperity and our liberties. We're not giving them the right tools. We're actually handicapping them.
When is the big primary, and how can people learn more about your candidacy and help you out?
You know what? Go to Myrdal, MYRDAL, Senate on Facebook, Myrdal ND Senate on Facebook, and like it and get in touch with me. The first thing I got to get through is the nomination process, which is February 20th over here in our district. There's 4 of us running. I'm hoping to do that. And then the primary, if I get a primary challenge, which I kind of assume from a former senator who wants his seat back, that'll be in June 14th, and then we go on to the November election. So it's a long haul for the family. And, of course, here it's not like I have a manager or a campaign manager or whatever. So we need some funding and we need some help because I'm not a politician. I'm a concerned citizen. So just get to my Facebook and like me, and, we'll hopefully have a website up if we get nominated on the 20th of February.
Well, you know what? That just makes your candidacy all the more appealing. You just said, I don't have a campaign manager. I talk to the family. I mean, things that, when we're used to the robotic politicians that are thrown our way, wouldn't know what to do without a teleprompter. You can't answer a question until you ask your handlers of what should I say, and they come out with the answer a few days later. So I think that, the reluctant leader is what we really need. We saw it in George Washington. We could have seen it in Governor Sarah Palin, and we still do, and hopefully will again down the road in whatever form. And hopefully here with Janne Myrdal, we really appreciate it. And thank you so much, not only for what you're about to do, but for what you've done for life, Concerned Women for America, and just in the way you've lived, and talking out, speaking up for the unborn, speaking up for those with Down syndrome, for the unborn of all sorts, and life issues also, not just we talk about life in other ways too, and you have been a champion for that, just like Governor Palin. So thank you from all of us here on that.
Well, I thank you too, and I have to say, all glory goes to God and our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. He's the one who has reached out to my heart and reaches out to hearts all across our country, and that's where our foundation should be, and we need to return there. So, and I appreciate all you do, Kevin, and kudos to all the Palinistas out there. Let's keep protecting and defending Palin and her family, and run for office in your local districts. Please do.
For more on Janne Myrdal, search Myrdal ND Senate on Facebook. That's Myrdal, MYRDAL ND Senate on Facebook. Happy birthday from the Mama Grizzly to El Rushbo this past week. Sarah Palin wrote on Facebook, happy birthday, Rush, from your strongest chickified fans who join you in the fight against wussification in the political arena. Keep hitting it hard. We've got your back, Sarah Palin. And then she adds a quote from Rush himself. I say what I mean. I don't speak in code. That's why I am a star and ace communicator. Palin included pictures of a visit she had to Rush Limbaugh's show along with her daughter, Piper. This past week, Palin hammered the administration's response to Iran, writing on social media, here we go again, coddling the enemy and implementing rules of engagement that prohibit our military from doing its job. Iran captures our warriors before forcing the U.S. to apologize for the enemy's bullying and endangerment, all to send a false message that America is now so weak, we've fallen insurmountably far under the enemy. As Senator McCain just said on Fox News, Obama spokesman Josh Earnest is an idiot and knows not of what he speaks, as actual appreciation is expressed by the leftist White House for Iran's combatant actions. To praise the enemy for humiliating our military should make all responsible pro-peace through strength Americans agree with what Dean Cain said on Fox this morning. Quote, "This makes me sick to my stomach," unquote. Then went on to suggest reasons many of America's finest are leaving the military. No question they're leaving due to the left's pussyfooting around, per the tone set by an extremely weak president who doesn't believe we face existential threats. I'll continue to ask, if Democrats still praise Obama's capitulation and bending over for Iran, does it not make you wonder whose side they are on? And Sarah Palin this past week also gave Newsmax a huge thumbs up after Bristol Palin was named to their list of 30 most influential Republicans under 30. Governor Palin wrote right on Newsmax, "A chip off the old block, Todd and I want to think. Keep working hard, young Americans. The status quo has got to go in order to save this nation. Vote wisely. Our future will be in your hands." To see any of the governor's posts in their entirety, visit Sarah Palin's Facebook page, follow her on Twitter at Sarah Palin USA, and check out sarahpac.com.
Now, the Palin Update with Kevin Scholla presents Liberty and Legacy. Here's Tamara Colbert.
Contrary to our president's recent State of the Disunion address, everything isn't sweetness and light in our nation, because our president doesn't really care about the rule of law. In fact, he knows that our nation is going farther and farther down the path toward tyranny, away from the Constitution, away from the rule of law, creating chaos and disunion and disorder, which gives him and progressives and those who are trying to destroy our nation a foothold. The point is, are we going to let them do it or not? Our government, our national government, was founded on the rule of law so that we don't live under a nation of men, but rather a nation of laws that govern men. If you look closely on the scales of justice, you will notice that she is wearing a blindfold. Why is that? Do you know that our young people aren't even taught to think about why the scales of justice wears a blindfold covering her eyes? It's because when the law is applied and should be applied equally to every single American, it is fair, because we look at the law and someone's adherence or not away from the law. These principles have been enshrined in our Constitution since it was ratified in 1791. But because we've had decades and decades of federal precedents, most of them coming from the Supreme Court, or ridiculous presidential edicts / executive orders, our government has long ago been fundamentally changed. And Barack Obama just put several exclamation points on it. But the way back is Article 5. And in the last week, well, really since the new year, we've had so many endorsements. Senator Marco Rubio, most recently, Texas Governor Greg Abbott, and the American economist and scholar Thomas Sowell. What's more important than ever is to look at others who are jumping on board, others who are absolutely away from the process, but are endorsing it anyway, like the most recent one, Congressman Jeff Duncan of South Carolina, who this weekend at the South Carolina Tea Party Coalition Convention endorsed the Convention of States project to a packed crowd of thousands of people. Why is that? Well, in his Defending Liberty address, he couldn't say enough about the fact that it is time to get back to the Constitution. And I want to read his quote. "It is growing more and more evident that the solution to America's challenges will not come from Washington, but from the people. Thankfully, the people have been given a constitutional solution in Article 5, one that enables the states to reclaim their rightful power. At this time in our nation's history, I believe our only meaningful legal recourse for the ongoing abuses of power in Washington, D.C. is to use Article 5 by calling for a convention of states to propose amendments that will rein in our runaway federal government. That's why I am proud to lend my full support for the Convention of States project as the only solution big enough to tackle America's challenges. Thank you, Congressman Duncan, for standing up for liberty. Knowing that you are a guardian and custodian of this important gift from our founding fathers is inspiring. I ask for those of you ready to fight, whether or not you want to believe Sarah Palin, Mark Levin, Sean Hannity, Thomas Sowell, Texas Governor Greg Abbott, or even South Carolina Congressman Jeff Duncan. This is our time. This is our time. 2016 could not be more optimistic for those of us who believe in the Constitution, and the way to America's future prosperity is getting back on the path to constitutional governance and the rule of law. Join me at conventionofstates.com. I can't wait to work with you. What a privilege to work with so many grassroots activists across this nation. Thank you for standing up. Thank you for continuing to shout liberty from the highest treetops. I salute you. Have a great week. This is Tamara Colbert for Mama Grizzly Radio.
Tamara Colbert in Texas. Tune in for more Liberty and Legacy next week. And to learn about Convention of States, head to conventionofstates.com. Now our weekly commentary, Steel Resolve. Here's Sarah Steelman.
Thanks, Kevin. If you think that the state of Missouri has gone a little crazy this year, you may be right. The Ferguson crisis and the University of Missouri hunger strike/protests have made us quite infamous. Now, I know, as a former state senator in Missouri, that crazy bills are frequently filed, but this one that I'm going to talk about is either a joke or the legislature has lost its proverbial mind. Despite all the problems that have plagued Missouri, one of our Republican legislators has decided that it is imperative that if you are a lobbyist or a lawmaker or even the staff of a lawmaker and you are having sexual relations, then it has to be reported as a gift. You know, a gift, like the lobbyist takes you out for dinner and it has to be reported to the Ethics Commission. The bill defines a reportable sexual gift as, quote, sexual relations between a registered lobbyist and a member of the General Assembly or his or her staff, end quote. You know, the GOP used to be the party of less government, but these guys keep proving that the GOP wants to regulate every aspect of our life. Remember that our Missouri General Assembly is overwhelmingly Republican. Why don't we just elect people who do the right thing instead of passing dozens of ethics laws to regulate their activity? This bill is patently absurd, and I hope the Missouri General Assembly has the good sense to dismiss it for what it is, a dirty joke. This is Sarah Steelman for Mama Grizzly Radio.
Tune in again next week for another segment of Steel Resolve right here on the Palin Update. The Palin Update, including Liberty and Legacy and Steel Resolve, is on demand and available for download. So just head to mamagrizzlyradio.com, pick the show you want to hear, and you can listen anywhere, anytime. Well, that'll just about do it for this edition of the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. Visit mamagrizzlyradio.com for continuing coverage of Governor Palin. Also, like Mama Grizzly Radio on Facebook. Follow along on Twitter at Mama Grizz Radio, at Kevin Scholla, at Tamara Colbert, and at Sarah_Steelman. And I'm doing some writing for Breitbart News. Go to Breitbart.com and search Kevin Scholla. I want to thank Sarah Steelman, Tamara Colbert, and everyone here at Mama Grizzly Radio. Thanks to Janne Myrdal, and thank you for listening today. A special thanks to our sponsor, Narrowgate Security Agency. Visit narrowgate.com. The Palin Update is produced by Lena Anderson, the Andy L. Kramer, and Lori Ann Lewis. Please be sure to join us again next time for another edition of the Palin Update right here on Mama Grizzly Radio. I'm Kevin Scholla. Have a pleasant day.